Today I'm talking with Keith Mills, the chiropractor, and his sister Karen Mills. And if anybody's from around here, they'll know that she is known as the girl that made the shot at the basketball game under Jim Smitty. But for the last 25 years, she's been a comedian, a successful comedian. And I counted the tour dates. She's got over 53 tour dates coming up. And it's incredible what she's done in the entertainment world. And this is going to be a great show. Now, you went on to UT to play from what, 78 to 81?
Played at UT Chattanooga.
UT Chattanooga.
Yeah, I graduated in 77 and from Bradley, and then went to UTC and graduated 81.
Do you think that, now they actually retired your number, right?
Yes.
So that's got to be something. They hadn't retired my number.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, yeah, that's a pretty big deal. They don't retire many numbers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How
Yeah.
many? I mean, they couldn't retire many, or they'd have too many numbers on the back of the uniform.
That's right. So, yeah, I mean, my number was retired and, at UTC. I was All-American a couple of years, so.
Do you think you could still play basketball right now if you had to?
No.
Not at all.
No, I could not.
A little bit.
No, right now. I couldn't-
Dribble.
Well, no, I couldn't even do that much. I mean, I could dribble, but no, not at a level that would look like I was when I was 20. No.
When were you got that? Now, I was talking to my good friend Bebo Harris. He said that you were on his Little League ball team and the best one at Fulbright.
That's true.
They played T-ball together.
Yeah.
T-ball.
T-ball.
Tim Cartwright said the same thing.
Well,
Did you play at Fulbright? Who was that? Coach Palmer? Do you remember?
Doyle Palmer.
Doyle Palmer.
Doyle had a part in organizing the T-ball league. You know, you had T-ball
Yeah.
for 5 and 6 year olds,
Yeah.
7, whatever, and then they went to Dixie Youth at age 8. So Doyle had a big part. He
Yeah.
and Bill Talley both in developing
Talley.
the T-ball along with Jim Clark. He ran the ballpark. Jim, Debbie's daddy, and so they worked hard at getting those athletes started young. You know, Karen was one of the girls. I'm not trying to hog the conversation.
no.
Yeah.
Karen was a girl, and then Carmen Phillips, that's Gil Phillips' daughter, and then Debbie Clark. They were probably the 3 best athletes as far as girls are concerned, in that T-ball program. And then Debbie went on to be an outstanding softball player all of her life, really all of her adult life. And of course, Karen went to be an All-American. But Carmen was Gil's daughter, and Gil had a big part in Dixie Youth baseball for 40 years out there. He always managed the Senators.
The Senators, I remember them.
And he would always have a big part in the American League All-Stars and all that. So those 3 girls were always at the ballpark.
Well, and we grew up at the ballpark. Keith played baseball. He
I
went
was
to
there.
college on baseball scholarship.
Is that right?
And so we grew up there. And we were the only girls in the T-ball league because back then they didn't have T-ball for girls.
No.
They only had it for boys. So me and Carmen and Debbie played with the boys. And at that time, that's before the boys, at that level, at 5, 6 years old, there's no advantage to the boys because they're, hormones and none of that's kicked in
Yeah.
yet. So, we were better.
The girls were actually more coordinated at that age.
Yeah.
But what made you want to do that? Just something to do? I guess back then there was just not that much else to do, was there? Just something to do.
But we had, we were athletic. I mean, we wanted to do it because we were good at it for one thing, and our parents.
Mama told me that Daddy brought a ball and glove to the nursery when I was born.
Yeah.
What position did you play when you got the scholarship?
I was a pitcher and I played first, a little bit of third.
Are you left-handed?
Right.
Right-handed?
Yeah. He I mean, yeah, we both played every day, and we'd be sitting at home when we were just small kids, and as soon as Dad would pull into the driveway, we'd be sitting there with a ball and glove or basketball or go swimming, something. We were just very
Active.
active and athletic.
But kids are not active like they used to be.
No, we ran from the phone back then.
Yeah, yeah.
We argued over who had to answer it.
Isn't that something? And now they stand. Now they. I went to graduation Saturday. I'm sure they told all the kids to keep their phones in their car or something, because if they hadn't, they'd all been just looking
yeah,
at their
for
phone
sure.
during graduation.
Yeah, for sure.
During their graduation. So you live in Chattanooga now?
I do. Yeah, I live in Chattanooga, and but I'm up here a lot. Our dad passed in 2012, but Keith's here, and I'm in Chattanooga, and our mom is still alive, and so we're always checking on her and helping her. And
Did you move out of Cleveland pretty soon after your graduation, or?
well,
college?
when I went to UTC, I lived on campus, and I've not lived here since then. I went to Atlanta from Chattanooga for 18 years, and I moved back to Chattanooga about 22 years ago.
Why comedy? Isn't that such a kind of a hard thing to get into?
Well, yeah, but everyone thought I'd be a coach, including me, and I didn't love coaching as much as I loved playing. And so after I graduated, I kind of floundered for a few years, and I did a lot of different things, and I was a mortgage broker for a while, if you believe that. And like I know any math, but anyway, I did that for a while, and I just kept being drawn. Every time I'd see Johnny Carson, he'd have a comedian on, I would think, I really believe I could do that. And so I finally got the courage to go to the Punchline in Atlanta and try open mic. And the manager of the Punchline said, I really think you could do this. You have the stage presence and the delivery, but you got to learn to write your own material. Because all I knew how to do was to write a joke. You know, we used to tell jokes all the time on the bus and be silly when we were going to games. And that's all I knew how to do. I didn't know how to take life experience and turn it into humor and a stand-up routine. So I took a writing class, went back to open mic, and then he hired me to open, and I just started working my way from there. And that was 30 years ago.
Is writing different for jokes than it would? I wouldn't think that going to a writing class would help in writing jokes, but I guess it is. I guess it is.
Well, it was a comedy class, a joke writing class.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a class to write stand-up. Yeah.
Was that about the time that comedy stores started? I remember they started getting popular about. There was one in Chattanooga called the Comedy Catch,
Still there.
and that was about what, 92 or 91, something like that, maybe. And before that, was there even stand-up comedy, really? I mean, I don't remember it being.
Well, I mean, the Richard Pryors and the George Carlins and all that. When would that have been, Keith? Do you know the dates?
Well, I mean, Bob Hope started doing stand-up in the 30s.
That's right.
Well, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So, I mean, stand-up's always been around. You just become more aware of it as been more shops show up, like Comedy Catch opened up.
I guess because we could go to them then.
Oh,
You know,
certainly.
instead of watching them on.
Or go to
Bob
Vegas.
Hope,
See,
yeah.
Bob Hope's somebody
Yeah.
in Vegas or that kind of thing. But yeah, it's still, Phyllis Diller, all those are stand-ups. But
Phyllis Diller, yeah.
Pioneers, Milton Berle,
Yeah.
Kenny Youngman. Take my wife, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see, who else was there? Back then, there was the guy that played on the Honeymooners. Wasn't he a stand-up
Jackie
comedian?
Gleason?
Yeah, Jackie Gleason.
I don't ever remember him doing stand-up, do you?
I don't know if him doing stand-up. He was a comedy actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is different.
Same for Art Carney that was on the Honeymooners with
Yeah,
him.
Art Carney, yeah.
Not
Flip
they didn't do
Wilson.
stand-up.
Flip
Did
Wilson.
Flip do stand-up?
Flip did stand-up.
Okay.
He
And then,
was
of
on
course, Red Fox. He did stand-up.
Red
Yeah.
Fox, yeah. Flip Wilson wasn't he on Carol Burnett show?
No, Flip had his own show.
Yeah.
Oh, the Flip Wilson show, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, he had several characters. Geraldine was a real famous female
Yeah,
character
yeah.
that
Yeah,
he did.
yeah.
But Flip was incredibly talented.
Yeah.
But it sort of stayed like that for a long time until some came out and really changed comedy, like
Well, Joan
I get-
Rivers, Richard Pryor.
Yeah, Richard Pryor.
George Carlin, all that.
Sam
stuff.
Kinison, which
Sam
he came later, I guess, right?
Well, he started being big in the 70s. You know, he got killed in like 82, 83 in that Corvette.
Yeah.
So he was big in the 70s. He was known. His shtick was screaming. He always screamed his punchline.
Well, he was funny, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You had to have a taste for that.
you had to have a taste for his humor. Yeah.
I like his bit where he says we could solve the food problem by having them move where the food
Move
is.
where the food is. They're living in the desert.
Yeah.
I worked with Jimmy Schubert, who was one of the guys who worked with him. I can't remember what his guys were called that traveled with. Was it his disciples or something? I can't remember what they called them. But anyway, Jimmy was
Posse,
one.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. He's the one that. Jimmy was the one I told you that he does the joke about the lady in the elevator and his smoking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He said that secondhand smoke's not good for me. And he said, not good for my health. And he said, well, lady, obviously I don't care about my health. What's making you think I care about yours?
That is
pretty
funny,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. He's
That's
so
funny.
irreverent about everything. It's so funny, though.
But Sam Kinison got hit in the head, right? They said he wasn't funny till he got hit in the head.
That's a story I don't know.
I didn't know that one either.
Yeah, I think he was just normal till he got hit in the head, and then he started doing comedy. But comedy is a really good thing. It really helps to. Laughter's laughter's the best medicine or something.
Yeah.
You ever wondered what causes somebody to laugh? The convulsions that, your stomach starts jumping, and I mean, what is that makes something funny? I mean, what makes something funny?
Well, first you have to have a sense of humor. Not everybody has one.
Not everybody.
Well, but not everybody has the same sense of humor,
That's
too.
right. Not some people don't have any.
Some people have.
And then some people, have different kinds of.
Did you ever
senses.
get heckled much on stage?
No, I'm never much. I have occasionally, but it's been so rare. And I've been very lucky in terms of that. But I also don't pick on people. My thing is not to, I don't try to make anybody uncomfortable. I'm really there more as, and I feel like, as an entertainer than someone, a lot of comics, so point is to, I don't know, to
Make fun of other people is
make
what they
fun
make.
and also,
Call out weaknesses.
yeah.
Yeah, be a little bit of a bully on stage. That they kind of ask for it when they do that.
I think that's the ones that get heckled the most.
Don Rickles got away with it because he did it to everybody.
Yeah.
He jumped on everybody, every religion, every race, everything. So he got away with it. But it's you walk that fine line when you start bullying people.
What about Carrot Top? He always had the props.
Give
right?
him the line. Go ahead, give him the line by Carrot Top.
I forgot it.
One of your cohorts said you're not really a comic if your act can burn up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
In some case, call him fire or something.
Yeah, that's on the Tonight Show. Yeah, because
Yeah.
he had to cancel a bunch of shows because the comedy club that he was at burned and all his props burned up. And someone on Tonight Show said, if your act can burn, you're not a comic.
Well, Carrot Top is really funny, though, isn't he?
He is. He's
Not to
funny.
me,
Not to
but-
me either. But if you like prop comics, he's funny.
Are there many prop comics left?
Not a whole lot really that I see, but I can't speak to that because I'm not really out in the clubs anymore. I don't know, but true stand-ups, I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. If you can do anything that people pay to see and you can make a living doing it, well, then good for you. So I try not to be judgmental about that, but a lot of comics can't stand a prop comic.
Bruce Springsteen back in the 90s when the boy bands came out, NSYNC and New Kids on the Block and that whole crowd. Bruce Springsteen said, if nobody in your group plays an instrument, you're not a band.
That's about the same sort of thing, isn't it?
It is.
What about who's that guy? Ron White. He always stood by a stool, right?
Yeah.
He always
I was had a
stood by.
cigarette and a glass of
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, Ron White. I actually, I opened for him at the Punchline in Atlanta right before the blue collar thing blew up. So he was just like another headliner, and literally within weeks he was huge. And
That's when he
Foxworthy,
teamed up
those
with
guys.
Foxworthy.
yeah, that's right.
And somebody
and
else.
Larry the Cable Guy and
Larry the
Bill
Ca-
Engvall. Yeah. And but someone was just telling me a story about him recently that he used to have like long hair and a ponytail and wore something like a coonskin cap and drank a beer on stage. And his manager said, cut the hair, put on a suit, and drink scotch. And literally, he did not change any of his material, but it changed completely his persona and his success. I mean, it was night and day.
That might be true in a lot of different professions.
Yeah.
Wonder how that guy knew
Receptions,
that.
everything. Well, he's manager. That's what he's supposed to know.
What he's supposed to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a fellow in the early 60s named Albert Dorsey. And he was a singer in England. And his career was going nowhere. Nobody would come see him. He couldn't sell any records, nothing. So he heard about this British mariner from the 1700s that was very well known to all of the United Kingdom. So he decided to take his name. And it was Engelbert Humperdinck. And his career
right?
just took off.
You just never know. But you know, there was that guy that was talking to Ron White. He was just the opposite. Looked more normal than not normal.
Well, I mean, the coonskin cap is not. I don't know that that's normal, but he was just wanting him to come across more as a country club guy and not.
Maybe his material was more country club type.
Well, he didn't.
stuff.
Yeah, he didn't change his material. He just wanted his image to change, and it worked so much better with his audiences.
Well, it did well. How did you meet him then?
Oh yeah, I worked with him. Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's just a regular guy like us, talking with him.
He's just like he is on stage. Yeah.
Have you ever wondered I guess you know what's your process in writing when you're writing new material?
Well, so much of my material comes straight out of life, you know, whether it's going through cancer or something that happens at the grocery store. I turn my life experience into humor, and so when something strikes me funny or I think of something in a funny way, then I always write it out and write it out almost in like just kind of a free write, and then I start editing and trimming out everything I don't need and trying to figure out the punchlines and the rhythm of it, and then I've got to put it on its feet. I've got to go to an open mic, or if I'm doing a show where I feel comfortable working in new material, you know, because depending on, you know, if I'm doing a theater, I feel like it's all got to all be A material and you know, but if I'm in a comedy club, then I can play around with it a little bit more and try to work in new stuff. And so then as soon as I get down my mouth, I know that where I need to fix it. So, you know, and then sometimes you say something off the cuff as a tagline in the moment, and it gets a bigger laugh than what. A lot of times things are much funnier in my head than they are on stage, so I got to find that, you know, and figure
Or if
out.
you can describe it to make the person listening see it as you saw it.
Right. Yeah, you want the audience to be able to relate to your experience through their own life.
Is there sort of a formula to funny?
Well, you know, in stand-up they say you're supposed to have a laugh every 9 seconds or something like that. But that's kind of, I don't know if that still holds true or not. But because Leanne Morgan, who I work with all the time, she tells longer stories. She's blown up, just had a Netflix special. She's filming a movie right now, and we, you know, we've toured together since '04. But her life completely changed almost overnight, and from video going viral and you know, the power of social media. But she tells longer stories, And it's so much as the way she talks that's funny. Where, you know, they say the difference between a comedian and a comic is a comic says funny things, a comedian says things funny. Some people are both. I'm a comic. It's my material that's funny. Where Leanne is a comedian. She can talk about walking out to her car and have you laughing about it. Where that is not my gift. So, you know, that's the difference. So I really need the material.
I've never thought about that difference between a comic and a comedian.
And some people are both. You know, Seinfeld's a comic. You know, it's not him talking. It's his, you know,
His story.
his excellent writing. His, you know, it's the funny things he says.
Like Rodney.
I mean, you still have a cadence and you say it funny. You have delivery. I don't mean that. I just mean it's not just you rambling about something that happened and it's funny because your personality is just funny. There's a science to it.
Say Rodney Dangerfield, he'd be considered a comedian, or because you can laugh just looking at him.
Yeah,
That's
he's
more
probably
comedy.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still has a very much a.
He was king. He was like Henny Youngman. He was the king of the one-liners. So that's a comic in him. Just
Right.
those one-liners, one right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, my wife met me at 7 o'clock in the morning in negligee. The problem was she was coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Bam, boom, boom. That's a joke. That's a joke.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
That's a comic.
Yeah, that's material.
Whereas Leanne would be telling a story that sets up the comedy that's funny.
Well,
and
she is the comedy. It's not, you know, it's her way.
Say Joey Diaz.
I don't even know who
I don't know who Joey Diaz is.
He's really funny. He's from out New Jersey,
Oh, I don't know him.
and he's more of a. I'd say he's more of a both too.
Yeah, a lot of people are both, but in life, people say to me, "I never guessed you'd be a comedian," because I'm not that. I don't just sit and everything I say is hilarious. Where Leanne can just talk to you on the phone and not even be on stage, and it's funny. But for me, I'm not like that. I really have you know, I really have to work at it. But I have a sense of humor. It's just, you know, it's just I'm more serious too. I'm always observing and processing and observing people and things, and then I'll go put it into material. But I'm not just a hoot.
When I
all the time.
saw you, you had a somewhat of a motivational message in there that was good.
For that event, I did. Yes.
Okay.
If I'm just doing a straight stand up, I don't have
So
that.
you have to tweak these things for the audience that you're
Yeah,
going
because
to.
I do a lot of speaking and stuff too. So when it's a speaking event, that kind of thing, then I do. Yeah.
Well, that gets complicated too, because you got to think, okay, how do I talk about this to that audience, and you switch it just a little bit.
You have lots of material.
Yeah, what if you forget?
then they'll throw tomatoes at you.
Yeah.
Then you're out of work.
Yeah. But did I count right somewhere like 53? How do you get to all those places?
Well,
do you drive?
I drive, and some of the time I fly. Some of the time it really depends. Like a lot of those dates are with Leanne. When I'm with Leanne, a lot of times we'll like fly into one place, rent a car, drive to the next place, and fly home. Because the routing will be like if it's 3 hours from place to place, and we drive and then fly home. We'll do that a lot. I also have a lot of events in there where I am speaking, and then I have some clubs and small theaters that I'm headlining. So that's why there's a lot of dates. So I'm very, very lucky to have so many.
Let me tell you about Capstar Bank. They're located in Nashville, Hendersonville, Gallatin, Athens, Madisonville, Sweetwater, Etowah, and in Cleveland at 950 25th Street and 3855 North Ocoee Street. I've used them. I like them. Give them a try. They're no problem.
Do you ever get there and think, okay, I got to get into my. I'm not in the mood today, but I've got to get in the mood. I'm getting ready to go on stage. To me, that would be a problem.
Yeah, we always say 5 minutes before it's time to walk out there, we could lay down in the floor and go to sleep. We do. And we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But then as soon as it's, Jerry Seinfeld said if he had his, if he could do it the way he wanted, they'd be introducing him as he walked in the door. And I feel exactly the same way. If I could be running in out of my car as they're saying my name, I would prefer that. Because sitting around waiting, it just makes me so...
Takes the mood away, I guess.
Just the energy, you just get tired. But, you can't do that or everybody would be freaking out if you're going to be there. But a lot of comics feel that way, that they just want to keep the energy up.
Johnny Carson used to say that he had butterflies every night before those curtains opened.
I can't imagine that, but I guess he had to do the monologue all the time. And his stuff really wasn't that funny, was it, to me? I just liked Johnny Carson.
Well, he was a comedian.
Yeah.
But
Johnny Carson was, he was king of late night.
But to me, he wasn't necessarily funny. I don't know why.
Oh, I thought it was funny, but Carson's thing was when the joke bombed, it was funnier. Because
it was funnier, yeah.
He'd give a look, and he'd do something that would that'd crack you up when the joke didn't work. So he won either way.
He'd make fun of the people that had written the joke.
Yeah.
Because he
just give a look.
Because he had writers, right?
Oh yeah.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, all late night they all have writers.
Because they couldn't come up with all that stuff all the time.
Well, you think about doing it 5 nights a week for 30 years. You're going to bomb once or twice.
Yeah, that's right.
Could you imagine doing that?
Because he's turning material every night. He's not doing what he did the night before.
No, it's not even relevant.
Yeah.
Because his is daily.
Right, and that's for all of them. I mean, that's why you have writers and everything else.
Boy, that would be. It's not as easy as just. I've got an easy, and a lot of your stuff's done at night, so it's not like you got a day job. It's a night job, and
yeah, most always it's at night. So occasionally there'll be a luncheon or something that I do, but it's almost always at night.
Are you glad you got into it?
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, I do. We always say, we do the shows for free. You pay us to travel because that's exhausting.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So.
Yeah, and setting up with the other person. You say you tour with Leanne, so you would have to schedule both of you. Said, do you want to do this one? Do you want to do that one? I'll do this.
Well, we used to do that. We don't do that anymore because Leanne, whether I go or not, she's going because she's gotten so big now that her dates are set, and then she just asked me to go and feature for her. So.
Well, what show did she get on? You said she got on a video or TV or?
No, just on social media.
Oh,
just one of
okay.
her comedy clips went viral, and it's been life-changing. And right now she's in Atlanta shooting a movie with Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell. And in October 2019, she called me from Chicago and said, I think I'm going to quit. I've sold 20 tickets. And, because she'd been doing it at that time for, about 18 years. And she said, I just don't know if I can keep doing this. And literally a month later, that video was posted, went viral, and her life changed.
Where'd she do the video? Did she just put something online?
She hired a social media manager, and they took all the clips of all video footage that she had, and they chopped it up and started putting it online.
And then she got more.
Started being shared, and it got something like 25 million views. And
well, that's something. It's a different world.
It is a different world.
There's two instances you told me that it changed their life was because of a manager. They told him what to change what he's wearing, and they put that.
Right, now that was his talent manager, where the social media manager is just who manages your Instagram and Facebook and all the clips going up. So it's a little different kind of manager, but yes, it's still somebody else that
that sees it different, that sees a change you can make that you didn't see or something.
Right.
I guess we get caught up in our work so much we can't see the forest for the trees or something. I don't know.
Well, no, you can't know everything. Leanne, she didn't know how to do social media.
Yeah, and probably
even if she thought she knew, she really didn't.
Probably didn't have a desire either. You know, it may just not be her thing.
So this guy was, you know, that's why we hire experts to do stuff sometimes.
Yeah, so she said, you know, I'm gonna hire somebody to do this because she didn't want to learn it. She didn't want to, because there's so many intricate things to social media. When you post it, what time, what day, what, you know, where your demographic, when they watch.
What hue?
Yeah,
Too much light, not enough light.
So there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of factors, and, you know, you hire somebody that knows that stuff. Because, you know, we want to do comedy. We don't want to do social media. So.
Just like me, I just want to build houses. I don't want to get into all that other stuff, but you have to. You have to survive.
Yeah.
You know, because if I just build stuff that didn't sell. Right?
That wouldn't be good.
Do you find in your business that just if you didn't advertise, or do you have to advertise much? Or
I do a little bit of advertising, but I've noticed that as I've aged, my clientele has aged. Kids don't relate to me that well. So, you know, I'm kind of abrupt, and I'm not going to change that. So some 17-year-old kid comes in there for their consultation. Sometimes they won't even come back after the first time because we don't hit it off very well. I want to ask pointed questions, get information out of them, determine what's wrong with them, and try to fix it. They don't want to answer questions. 17-year-olds do not answer questions. They don't want to be asked anything that's pointed.
Maybe they don't know.
All they want to do is look in their phone. They don't want to answer any questions. So because of that, my clientele has aged as I am.
I've noticed that people in general can't give yes or no answers anymore. It's always nuanced, or, you know, just the ability to say yes or no is kind of an old art. Who was it that famous Aristotle said the most thought out answer was yes or no? Because you were saying definitely yes or no.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what Mark Twain said 120 years ago.
What's that?
And he must be spinning like a top in his grave now. He said, the only thing wrong with common sense is it's not that common anymore. He said that in 1900. You know, he is spinning now.
Yeah. I always wondered about that common sense, because what does that mean? That's the majority thinks this? Is that what, you know, I always wondered what that common sense phrase meant.
It's reasonable to a high percentage of the people. That's what common sense is.
But that couldn't make it right.
But it's common sense. What's reasonable to a high percentage of the people, that's common sense.
But then we wouldn't say that common sense is correct. It's just reasonable to everybody.
Right.
So that doesn't mean it would be right. It's just common.
It's usually right.
It's common thinking. Thinking.
What is reasonable to most people is usually right.
I don't know about that. Well,
I'm giving it a lot of thought.
Have you ever seen that thing where they put all those jelly beans in a jar, and they say everybody guesses how many's in there, and they can average them up, and it'll be the sum of the ones in the jar, the average. You ever heard of that?
No, I didn't follow that very well, but.
Well, in other words, everybody guesses how many jelly beans are in a jar, and after they take everybody, they average out the answers. It's pretty
close
accurate.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that means anything or not.
I don't either.
What was it like doing your first comedy thing? Was there a crowd there?
Yeah, because I started at the Punchline, and at the Punchline in the 90s, comedy was so hot, and they would do shows Tuesday through Sunday, and those would be regular shows in the showrooms with the main headliner, and they would let 6 open micers get up. So you'd go sign up. There'd be 30, 35 of us every week sign up, and they'd choose 6 that would get to go up in the main show. Now they have open mic nights where there might be 20 people there, but we had 250 people that we could go out to in the club and try it. And it was so much better opportunity than having to go somewhere that, you know, they try to get you to drag all your friends to so that you can do an open mic. And so it's just so much hard to gauge your material, if it's working, if you're any good, you know. So so I started at a time that it was certainly an opportune time to just see what you could do.
Did people laugh the first time you was up there?
Well, the first time they laughed, but that's the first time was when I told jokes, and when the manager said, you can't do that. So, so I learned. It was a learning process, and
When did you say, I think I'll do this for a living?
well, when I'd go to open mic and sign up, like I said, there'd be 30 people sign up, and 5 or 6 would be chosen. And if my name was on the list, I wanted to cry because I was scared to death. And if my name wasn't on the list, I wanted to cry because I wanted to do it so bad. So I knew I wanted to do it, even though I was scared. So that told me that I needed to stick with it because I was just so, even though it created anxiety to get out there, I wanted it so much I was willing to walk through that.
Do you think you get a high on that anxiety?
On the anxiety?
Like in sports, there's some anxiety in sports.
Oh,
You
yeah,
think there's a connection?
What do you think, Keith? You think there's a connection to the high, to the anxiety? There's a connection to the thrill of the crowd, to the...
Well, if you're a competitor, then yes. If you don't have a competitive spirit, no.
That's true.
You got to want to compete, and you got to want to compete at the highest level.
Well, maybe compete and see if you can make them laugh.
Yeah, you're competing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
doubt. And even I realized with, you know, when I was doing comedy, I didn't enjoy coaching, and it was hard for me to admit, to be honest. But I realized that even as a player, I sort of entertained the crowd. I would rather make a great pass as to make a shot because it got the crowd involved, and so that felt very kind of arrogant, and I didn't want to admit that for a long time. But then I finally realized that the comedy stage is very similar to that, and making people laugh and the feedback that you get from that.
And maybe it's quicker too, as far as the response. You know what I'm saying?
Stand up?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no doubt
I mean,
that
it's
has
like instantly.
that has a huge thing, a huge impact on my
Immediate feedback.
decision to do it. Is immediate. If you told the joke and they didn't laugh for 2 weeks, I wouldn't be doing. Yeah, it's that immediate feedback that's
I
the.
wonder if this artificial intelligence, you know, that chat GT where you can put information in, it'll write a paragraph or I don't see how they'd ever be able to write a joke.
Well, I read the other day, and that whole thing's kind of scary. But I read the other day that that the one thing that will survive it all is creative thinking. And so, I mean, I guess, I don't know. That's what I read. I don't know if that's true or not, but.
I would think so because to me AI is just like a Google with voice or something. It's just giving you information. It's not being
emotion,
creative.
it's not,
yeah,
right.
Like whereas comedy would have that.
Yeah. And you have to have experience to, you know, to write about it. I mean, I guess it could write something, but I don't know.
Is the pause important when you're doing stand up? I mean the pause and the rhythm of it.
Oh, hugely important. Yeah, the timing.
Could you
of
tell
it.
the same joke without doing it with the right cadence and them not laugh, but do it with the right cadence and it'd be funny?
Sure. Yeah, there's some things that, you know, if you don't have perfect timing, it might still get a laugh, but that's a huge part. The delivery is a huge part of what kind of laugh
You
get.
you have to give them time to form their picture in their brain before you give them the punchline, I guess. Just guessing.
Yeah, that certainly that too. Yeah, and then just like Carson, you know, he'd give a look or whatever,
Yeah.
and that would be funnier
Yeah,
than the
he'd
joke.
stand
Yeah.
sideways. He always
Yeah.
stood sideways.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So, what else do you think is? Do you think you're like this Rodney Dangerfield when they did that blue collar and it just took off? Have you ever thought about doing that? Because that was back when you had. Did they have albums then? Remember the albums?
Yeah, I
You know,
remember
like
albums.
the ones where they had the jokes. on the. Who was it used to do you could buy records with their jokes on it? Who was those?
Probably the last one to do one of those was Richard Pryor, but that was Bob Newhart that made a fortune on comedy albums.
Yeah.
You know, he won Grammys for comedy
And
albums.
O.J. Simpson, no, not O.J. Simpson. Bill Cosby, didn't he do the records too?
He did. He did.
Comedy records.
Yeah,
You'd listen to them.
sure. Yeah.
So that Richard Pryor was probably the last one that successfully
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah. He did it
Did
maybe once or
Carlin?
twice.
Did
George-
Carlin have an album or no?
He probably did. But Bob Newhart was probably the most successful at comedy albums. He did it in the early 60s.
I think even Andy Griffith had a comedy album.
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah, he did. Yeah, the football.
Yeah.
The football thing. Skit. That was before he got into TV. So a lot of the there for a while it was the idea for a comedian to do stand up, do it, and then get a sitcom.
Well,
That
yeah,
was-
they don't
that
give away too many sitcoms anymore, but still, there's Los Angeles is flooded with people trying to do stand up to get noticed that aren't truly stand up. I don't know. This might be argumentative, but for some people, but I think it's easier for a stand up to be to translate into like sketch comedy or sitcom, that kind of thing, than it is for an actress or somebody to go to stand up.
Yeah, I'd think that would be near.
Because I see a lot of people try it just to try to get noticed, and they just, they're different arts. Like, I can't do improv games, like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
I'm terrible at that. That is not my gift. I'm terrible. But they're great at it, those guys that are on that. And so, sometimes you can cross over with different things, but not everybody people try stand up a lot because you can get noticed quicker when there's so many actors in LA, and so they'll try
They're
to
a
break
dime a
it.
dozen, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's a writer's
Oh yeah.
thing where they're not
Did Tim Conway ever do stand up or
Tim Conway. Well, he was funny. No, he did
did
McHale's
he
I
just
don't think he ever did stand
stand
up.
up? I didn't think so either.
He did McHale's Navy. That was his first thing. Right?
Oh yeah, and
But
Boy, he
sketch
was so
comedy was
funny.
his thing.
Now that's
Oh.
another guy that you could look at and just start laughing.
hilarious. And
He may be the funniest,
everybody on the Carol Burnett show they were just great.
but Tim Conway remember the skit he did with the.
Dentist.
The dentist. Oh,
And
That was
and-
so
And
funny.
the Siamese
and the
elephants.
something. That's just
They were all. I believe they were all drunk on that. Don't you?
hilarious. Just hilarious. I know. I loved all of them. But I know and the reason I was asking that because I know he and Don Knotts went around
Mm-hmm.
and did a theater tour for a while, and I guess they were just telling stories about. I never.
Well,
saw
they were
it.
promoting their movies too. They did the
Apple Dumpling
Yeah.
Gang. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was funny. Remember the ladder scene? Where
Well,
they
to
had
me, that was silly slapstick stuff, which I don't even chuckle.
See, I
But
just
for some people, they're in the floor laughing. It
see.
just
I'm
depends
on
on
the
your
floor
sense of
laughing. Like to me that was they are really funny.
Yeah.
I guess that's slapstick.
I love
What about-
Tim Conway in his sketch comedy. But,
Yeah.
But the movies that he did, all that silly
Well, they
things.
had funny scenes, and then the rest of it wasn't. So it. But what about? I was trying to think of something real. Oh, Monty Python. Now that's a different humor, right? That's more of a. What would you
I can sit
classify
through that movie and never crack a smile.
It's all different. You got to have that kind of humor.
See,
and
I
some
could-
people, and some people,
See, that's my
Yeah.
kind of or mash, dry humor. I like mash.
you
How
love
about
I
that?
love MASH.
yeah.
But not Monty Python.
Oh, no.
I've never met anybody that didn't like Monty Python. You laugh at it.
I have to tell you, I haven't watched very much Monty Python at all.
Well, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't. I just have never. Now I love British humor.
Oh yeah, like Faulty Towers.
I don't know that one, but
Yeah, they have the hotel. Basil.
I'm not familiar
Well,
with that.
he played on Monty Python.
Oh, see, I
So
didn't
it's
see
yeah,
that, but
because that's British humor.
but I mean, I see a lot of sketch comedy, and even if I don't even know them or stand up that I don't know, I always laugh at British comics.
Isn't
And
it funny
Ricky Gervais is British.
Isn't it funny what makes us? I still can't figure out what the body does when something's funny. It starts laughing. I mean, it's like I can see if you're crying, you're sad, but comedy is what? Why does the body start laughing? And what
pull that guy to physiology, and you can read all about the pituitary gland and the endorphins, and that'll explain it to you.
Well, why would mine be different than yours?
Well, we're just different. We just have a different taste in comedy. But as far as what causes the body to laugh, that's just some things trigger those endorphins, and that same thing doesn't trigger them for me. Thank God for Monty Python that there's a whole lot more people like you than me, because that's a very popular movie.
A cult
movie.
following.
That's right. To me, it's not funny at all, but it's just different sense of humor. But whatever sense of humor you have, if it triggers those endorphins, you're gonna laugh.
And that's what she's got to deal with. You'll have me sitting in there and him sitting in there. We both like MASH, but we don't like Monty Python. So you got
she
to
has to know
figure
her
out.
audience when she goes on stage.
That's right. I have to know, and I'm luckily at a point at this, at this stage where people are there. It's not as random. I mean, people know they're coming to see.
They know what kind of humor you're giving.
That's right, and they already like my humor before they get there for the most part. Occasionally there'll be somebody sitting there with their arms folded, but
On the courthouse square at 30 2nd Street is the law firm of Logan Thompson Law. Since 1965, they have served the legal needs for the good citizens of Cleveland Bradley County. If you've got a problem, they're no problem. Give them a call.
Yours is similar to Jerry Seinfeld type thing, right? Like reality situations, maybe.
a lot of observation like him, but also a lot of just, I don't know. I've heard that before, but he's a lot smarter than I am.
But that would be similar to what you'd be laughing about on the basketball team on the bus heading back from Knoxville or something. It'd be that sort of comedy would be.
Well, we just told jokes on the bus, so it was. I'd sit up with the bus driver and tell jokes, and I always say that's what I retained from college. Was what the bus driver told me.
How about dad humor? You heard that new thing they're coming out with now, dad humor, where it's just silly stuff like I can't even think of one, but it's one-liners, but they're I can't even think of one. But it's silly stuff that your dad would say. That's silly humor.
I don't know.
In that writing class, did they divide up the types of humors for you, or do you have to learn all that? Slapstick versus one-liners versus.
No, it wasn't like a history of comedy kind of thing. It was more just, the structure of a joke, trimming the fat out of it so you don't use unnecessary words, writing out, you start with writing out your own vulnerabilities and start there usually with creating comedy. So it was that type of thing. It wasn't like a history of, slapstick versus, our vaudeville or any of that stuff, yeah.
Have you ever played in like Los Angeles or done a skit in like at the comedy store?
I have not done the Comedy Store, no. We've done shows in Vegas and different places. I've performed in L.A. at the Improv, but not at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Not at the Comedy Store.
What was the Improv like? Was that a big to do, or how was that?
It was just, the name is a lot bigger than the actual experience. It was fun, but it was, you have 12 comics running in there to do 8 minutes, and everybody jockeying for a spot, and
Don't they usually have a lounge in the back where the comedies,
green room.
the green room?
Yeah, right.
But it's not like T.L. Lowry's green room before you go in and have a preaching thing. It's more of a different type of a green room, I guess. More of a.
It's just a room that is never green, that you just, with a sofa,
Yeah.
that you just hang out till time to go on stage. Now, when we play these theaters, the backstage is, it's a whole next level. But at the Comedy Club green rooms, you got a sofa back behind the curtain.
You've been able to meet more celebrities and stuff than I have. You ever met one that you were just starstruck, that really just sort of made you think, man, is that really that person?
No, I can't say that I have. That's not my. I've opened for Tom Jones and Gladys Knight, which Gladys Knight was. I love meeting her. She was just. She was great. She was so kind, and Tom was. I saw him in his panties in his dressing room. He just had the door open, standing there in his panties.
But she's open for the Shirelles and B.J. Thomas and Tony Orlando. A lot of pretty
Tony
big
Orlando and Dawn, right?
Yeah, was Dawn there? It's just Tony.
What about now? Did you audition for American Idol season?
No, America's Got Talent.
America's Got Talent.
I made it through the preliminary rounds, went to the first round, and then, Simon basically said I was boring, and.
Well, did you see him? Did you?
Oh yeah.
So what was the process? Were they in Chattanooga or what?
Oh no, I was in Hollywood.
But where did you? Is that where you went for the first audition?
Atlanta.
So you made it through that round?
Yeah.
How many were there? Everybody?
Yeah, who wasn't there? It was a cattle call. Yeah.
And so how did you get through that one? How many got through there?
I can't remember the exact number that got through, but they had. I can't remember the exact number that got through, but when we got to Hollywood, it had been narrowed down to I don't know how many hundreds, but then. But it's what people don't understand about America's Got Talent. It's not just a talent show; it's a backstory competition.
Yeah.
And so.
Because they always give that back.
Yeah. So they're not just looking for them. Even though everyone's very talented, I'm not trying to take anything away from their talent, but still they want that backstory, and which I thought I had a good one, being an ovarian cancer survivor. So I always say I went in cocky.
Yeah.
But no, Simon was very complimentary of my comedy, but he thought as a person I was a drag. That's basically what he said.
You hadn't hiked the Appalachian 6 times barefoot.
No, it wasn't that. I think I was just a little. I've always been this way. Just like people are surprised to find out I'm a comedian. I don't walk out like that. I'm always more reserved, and then when it's time to perform, I perform. And he said, you came out and you were kind of boring, and then you did your material and you weren't boring, and now you're kind of boring again. And I'm like, I'm getting a sense you don't want to hang out later.
So you had to go right in front of him and give your.
All the celebrity judges.
Had you really honed it down to what
the
you thought
material
was?
wasn't the issue. The material. It worked good, but the other part was, you have all these kids bust in to the audience at that point. Mm-hmm. And they're anybody they can get on a bus and bring them to America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
So it may or may not be any of your demographic.
Yeah.
Who's
right.
Who's in the audience, and there are, so anyway.
Yeah, if it had been the right people for your audience, it might have been a get more laughs.
Yeah, and I got good laughs, and I got put through again. But what happens is they'll put through people coming who audition. They might have spots for say 100 people, and they might put through 130. because they don't keep count as they go. But that may be all the slots they have for the next round.
Yeah.
And so then after the fact, they'll go back and say, well, we want this, and then that's when I got cut, was behind the scenes, not actually on the show.
I see.
Yeah.
In other words, they might have two people, they're equally talented, but this one's got a real good backstory. That's
yeah.
going to really sell good.
That's right.
Isn't that a shame?
Yeah.
But that's the way the whole world works, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You can't outbeat that, can you?
It's-
Did you tell them you'd had ovarian cancer and everything?
I did, but I guess I should have played that card even more.
Yeah. Well, you came through that good, didn't you? Do you think humor helped that?
There's no doubt. Yeah. And my doctor said...
How do you think it helped that?
Because I think just being able to to stay light, and I'm sure there's some scientific reasons too that with endorphins and all that when you can find humor and you can laugh, it's more healing. That's why I say laughter is the best medicine. So I'm sure there's that. But my doctor said to me, my oncologist said to me, when he diagnosed me, he said, I don't care who it is, get negative people out of your life so that you can heal. And that, I believe, is very important to how well you do. I just believe
It must
that.
have something to do with just anxiety and stress. What do you think? You're the doctor.
What must have something to do with anxiety and stress?
Laughing. How does laughing help you heal?
Oh, it's been proven over and over that a positive attitude increases white blood cell counts. It has all kinds of healing effects to the body. They did a experiment years ago where they took a whole bunch of people that were sick and checked their white blood cells, and they took this other group and checked theirs. And then they had the first group say, I am healthy, I am healthy, I am healthy 3 times. And the second group didn't do that. And the group that said, I am healthy, their white blood cell count went up in order to fight infection. So positive attitude, it's been proven over and over.
I believe that.
Yeah,
I'm just not sure how it does it. I mean, how would the body know, to increase? I mean,
That's what your brain sits up there doing. You got billions of messages every minute going to the brain. The brain's constantly processing information. And then it's sending out response every second, sending out responses. So all these messages going in and all these messages going out constantly. So your brain is handling things. And most of the things that happen to you that your brain handles, you never even knew about.
Yeah, I don't even know I'm doing it.
No, you got something wrong with your knee. And your brain recognizes and it fixes, and you didn't even know you had anything wrong with your knee.
I was watching a thing on the animals here yesterday, talking about the animals, they can't look to the future like we can. That's one thing that separates us, that we can look to the future. But the only way we have to look to the future is by looking at patterns in the past and creating what we think would be the future, because we're not looking into it. All we're doing is taking samplings of what we've experienced.
Animals live in the moment, and we have a very difficult time doing that.
Very difficult.
But the only thing that separates us from the animals is our ability to accessorize.
Yeah, that's true. I always wonder if my dog, when I'm getting dressed in the morning, I wonder if he thinks, what in the world is he doing?
That was a Lionel Still Magnolias. That is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I don't remember that one. Was that like Fried Green Tomatoes? You ever see that one?
I loved it.
Boy, that was one of my.
Yeah.
That's one of the top 5, isn't it?
Yeah,
Did you
it's
say
great.
top 5?
No, it's one
10,
of my
top
favorites.
10.
Yeah, it's a good one. If that's your taste.
A person.
I liked it okay. I didn't do backflips over it,
gonna
but
say.
I like Steel Magnolia.
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh, that's a great one.
Which one's
Still
better?
Magnolias.
Which one's better?
Oh, Still Magnolias.
Olympia Dukakis said, if you don't have anything good to say about somebody, come sit by me.
Oh, there's so many great one-liners in.
John Wayne was good at one-liners, wasn't he? He was. That's what created his character, was the one-liners.
Well, he delivered a one-liner powerfully. He was a great actor.
What was it? on All in the Family, they asked Edith, did Archie like the Duke? And she said he'd die for the Duke. But that was just a persona. It wasn't. It was like that. The improv. You say it's the name. Sometimes names can be more powerful, or the perception can be more powerful than what's there.
Yeah, that's why perception's so important.
Do you think we can create our own realities?
I don't know what that means.
Well, you say positive thinking can make you have more white blood cells.
That's right.
So can we change our future with extreme positive thinking?
I think that positive mental attitude has a big impact on your overall being. I don't know about changing futures and all that, but as far as your health is concerned, that's what I stick to because that's what I know about.
Because Norman Vincent Peale would say it could change your outcome, right? He was big in, that was his big
Well, that's
thing.
the name of his book, Power of Positive Thinking.
Power of positive.
Well, and on the flip side of that, sending your brain a bunch of negative signals
Yeah.
are gonna, if you're saying, I'm tired, the next thing you know, you can't even get up.
And it may be stuff that we don't, that's so minuscule, we don't even know we're doing it. That's so minor.
Well, so much of our thoughts are just habits. We get up and we start repeating playing out the same scenarios over and over. And if you don't make yourself aware of your thoughts, then, you're just going to get what you get.
John Lennon said, life is what happens to you while you're making plans.
Boy, that's the truth.
That is the truth.
He was wise, wasn't he?
He was a nut, but I liked him.
Well, maybe that's what makes some people look nutty.
Well,
They're
a lot
just
of
so wise.
geniuses are,
He was right on the edge.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think that the more positive you think, I think it might change the future. I think it might.
Well,
Maybe.
I think if you believe it can heal you, then that's going to change
Yeah.
that aspect of your future.
If I'm not
certainly.
wanting it to rain tomorrow, and say, boy, it's not going to rain tomorrow, it's not going to rain. A lot of times it won't rain. How you figure that one?
You got lucky.
Yeah, I'm not buying that one.
Well, if it can change your white blood cells, why not change the rest? Right.
What if somebody else is saying, we need to rain, please rain, please
Well,
rain?
you hear this, you say, well, it was raining over here, but I don't know why it didn't rain over there.
Maybe you ain't. You just getting an umbrella.
Does music help lift your spirits?
Yes.
More, do you listen to, when you're feeling down and need to feel upbeat, you go to music or comedy?
I go to music a lot, but I also, if I like when I was going through cancer, I would watch funny movies, or comedies or sitcoms, whatever made me laugh. I would also do that a lot. But yeah, music was huge. I mean, anything that lifts your spirit, I think, is.
I don't like the slow. And the country music, sometimes it gets so depressing. You ever notice
Well,
that?
yeah, I'd be selective about my
Yeah.
music for sure.
What music would you? What's your go-to music if you want to be uplifted?
Oh gosh. Oh, I love such a variety of music. I mean, I like country music, but that's not what I go to if I want to.
No.
It'll be
Yeah.
something upbeat. It'll be I like so many. I love Adele. I like Pink. I like oldies. I like Eagles. I mean, I have such a
Anything with an
Span.
upbeat.
such a span of artists that I like. I like Lady Gaga. I like, but if I'm really wanting to be uplifted, it's going to be a more of a particular song than an artist.
More of a faster beat, maybe.
Well, no,
or a happy
more of an
beat?
inspirational
Message?
Yeah.
Not just the. See, I don't really listen to the words. I'm more of listening to the
Well, it
beat.
depends on if I'm wanting to work out or if I'm wanting to be uplifted. I mean, it depends on what I'm wanting out of it.
Say you're wanting to work out.
Oh, well, that's just going to be upbeat. Yeah.
AC/DC.
Oh no.
What about you, Keith?
Elvis.
Elvis?
Yeah.
I always love Elvis too.
Yeah, but some of his wasn't as, I mean, they were upbeat, but it's like we've heard them all. You know, we've already heard most of, you know, it wasn't. I wonder if Elvis would be popular if he came out today as a star. Or would he,
Well,
Elvis has been dead for 46 years and he's still popular.
and would his music have evolved, you think?
No. I don't think he'd still be putting out new music.
Well, his last song, "Burning Love," it was a fast, upbeat song that was new for the time and fit the time. So he was getting there.
well, I tell you this, Keith took me to see him in Huntsville, Alabama for my 16th birthday. And I remember saying, I love Elvis and all, but I'm not going to scream and act crazy when he comes out. By the time he hit that stage, the energy, the music leading up to him coming out, I mean, we were screaming and nuts, me and my friend Connie.
It wouldn't matter who it was. I reckon.
No, it mattered who it was. His presence was way beyond any star.
How did he do it?
I think he was just touched. That's what I believe.
He was just so charismatic. You know, he was.
I mean,
And you talk about uplifting music. Even his pop music was uplifting. You know, he did that song on one of his TV specials. Came out in that white suit.
Yeah.
If I Can Dream.
With the tie, had a tie,
exactly,
yeah.
I mean, that's an inspirational song, but it was played on, you know, top 40 stations. Mm-hmm. You know, and he had lots of stuff. He had religious music that was played on top 40 stations.
yeah.
You know, Crying in a Chapel. What's another one?
I always think of Elvis when I think of Christmas music, even. You know, because he
yeah,
had the
a great
Christmas album.
But he was touched by God. I just believe
Some
that.
people just have it,
Yeah,
don't they?
he
They
just had
have it.
when you talk about an it factor.
And Michael Jackson did too.
Yeah, absolutely.
More so than Prince, I think.
I think
For some reason, it just hit.
Whitney Houston had it too.
I never was a huge fan of hers.
I saw her. She had, unfortunately, her light got dulled way before she died. But when she was at her peak,
How tall was she? Was she a big person or just?
Oh yeah, if I was guessing, I'd say 5'9". She wasn't like 6 feet
I always
tall,
think
but-
of her as 6 foot or something.
No, I don't
for
think
some
so.
reason.
She wore
Maybe
heels.
she had heels on or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
We'll never know what makes some things go. Maybe it's just the times. Maybe it's them. Maybe it's God. Maybe it's just the seasons. I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever unlock that combination.
Yeah.
Well, Elvis was from northern Mississippi, and he had a combination of soul music. He was really close to the black community. He had a combination with the religious community. He had the B.B. King influence from Memphis, and he turned that into rock and roll. And that's how he got to be the king of rock and roll.
And maybe it was a lot of Colonel Potter or Parker. You know, because behind a lot of these people is a good promoter.
Yeah, well.
Colonel Parker was a leech.
Yeah, he was self-serving and
According to the last movie, right?
no.
Well, I'm
that
sort
was-
of an Elvis snob. You know, I know a lot about Elvis.
Yeah.
Colonel Parker was a leech.
Did they ever figure out where he was from? They said
Holland.
Holland, but they never really were sure, right?
Well, apparently, I don't know for sure, but apparently that's what kept Elvis from being able to go abroad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he Bart Streisand wanted him to be in A Star Is Born, and Colonel Parker wouldn't let him because he wasn't going to have top billing or was going to share it, and just a lot of things. But he had his own. Steve Pritchard, who is now in his 80s, and when I first met Leanne in 2004 was when we were doing the Southern Fried Chick tour, and Steve started out managing the Judds, and he was doing our tour at that time, and he knew Colonel Parker, and he said,
So you knew somebody that actually knew him?
yes.
Did he think he was more of a leech?
Yes.
Southern Fried
He
Chick.
he made decisions that weren't for Elvis, or for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Southern Fried Chick, is that sort of a Southern girls with an attitude, would you say?
There wasn't much attitude to it, but we were kind of the female comic answer to Blue Collar Tour, Southern Fried Chicks. So we were kind of trying to, we were trying to kind of be that at the time, and and we had a great run. I mean, we went 2 years and did 40 dates a year at theaters. That part went great for a couple years, and then it kind of fell apart. But
Did you ever go so much you wake up in a motel room, you try to remember where you're at?
no, yeah, all the time. Yeah. So,
Are you going to keep on with this?
well, for a little
As long
while.
as they keep hiring you?
Yeah, right now I am, because I'm busier now than I have ever been. So I'm going to keep on for a little while and try to.
I guess it just keeps growing, doesn't it? You just finally.
Well, now it's just a real. Comedy's just, I think, just a state of everything, and comedy is more popular now than it's been since the '90s. And people coming to live shows, coming out of the pandemic, plus just so much controversy and everything.
I guess they
people
got more to joke about.
Well, no,
maybe.
people just want to laugh.
You think that people coming out of the pandemic do you think that's why it's had an uptick in people wanting to listen to comedy?
Well, I know people start going to live shows a lot more out of the pandemic because they've been cooped up for so long. And I think just with politics and everything else, the way it is, that I know that a lot of people are just wanting some relief from the news and from, and because we hear it all the time, and wanting to come out and laugh and forget about everything going on for a while.
You may get more of an accurate idea of what's going on by going to a comedy show than you would listen to the news. at least you're seeing it or something.
Yeah.
Do you ever go to the comedy catch in Chattanooga much?
I was there last Sunday.
Did you do a show?
I did too. Yeah.
Did you just walk on, or was you scheduled?
No, I was scheduled. Yeah.
I've never been.
Yeah. It's down at Choo Choo now. It used to be in Brainerd.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
So it's inside the what do you call it? Inside the convention center, or what?
No, it's not in the convention center. It's right off Station Street. The Choo Choo's. It's not like in the Choo Choo, but all the restaurants and clubs that
right
are across
around it.
from this, just across from this Choo Choo, but it's part of the Choo Choo property.
Well, Chattanooga's grown a lot, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it really has grown great.
So do you have a website or a
Yeah, KarenMills.com.
KarenMills.com?
Yeah.
What about you, Keith? Anything?
DrKeithMills.com.
I'm gonna get you to work on my shoulder. I've got a crick in my neck. It's been there 2 weeks.
Well, you can get out.
Hey, thanks for
Hey,
coming.
thank you so much.
I really
Appreciate it.
enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.